Hey, it's Dee Dee here. Is it time? Today we're talking about, is it time for you to get a financial plan or to update your financial plan? This is a big question for a lot of folks because it's kind of complicated. One of the big reasons people do decide to work with a financial planner is because their financial situation has gotten more complicated for one reason or another. So today we're going to talk about some of those triggers that might be happening in your life that would make it time for you to consider working with a professional to really help you achieve your best financial future. So the number one thing that's going on in people's lives who I hear from that want to start planning is a life change. When you're like, well, what on earth does that mean? I mean, coronavirus probably counts, but that's not actually what I'm talking about. I'm talking about maybe a change in relationship. You got married, you got divorced, you're moving in with somebody, you got engaged, you had a child, you're sending kids off to college. The list goes on. But it's when those things in your life change in a significant way, and then they impact either your cash flow or your assets or your future retirement resources. That's when financial planning can be so very, very helpful. So let's take as an example, getting married. I love working with newlyweds. I think that setting that great financial communication foundation early on in a relationship can really bear fruit as time goes on. No guarantees in this world at all, but doing the heavy lifting at the front end can really pay off. Think about all the things that change when you get married. All of a sudden, you can own things jointly because of the benefit that marriage bestows upon you. Joints with rights of survivorship become some defaults. Estate planning is a big area where being married can affect what's going on. If you're not married and one of you should pass, if you don't have wills, the state where you reside has a will already written for you. It looks very different if you're not married versus if you are married. So those are areas you'll want to consider. When you're joining into a new relationship, your housing expenses change, probably your overall cash flow situation changes as well. It can be very helpful to have someone walk through what those changes are, help you decide how to do the budgeting, create some structures so that you've got great communication tools with one another, because things will change going into the future. If you kind of know what's going on to start with, it's easier to flex into that rather than just sort of winging it from the get-go. The opposite of getting a new relationship is maybe a divorce or moving out and separating from a relationship. Everything I just mentioned changes in the opposite direction. Suddenly, a new cash flow situation exists. Suddenly, estate plans that were set up in one way need to be reset up in a way that works for single people. So, getting married, getting divorced, getting into a new relationship, having a baby, big change on your finances. And I can't imagine being a brand new parent wanting to do financial planning. So this is a great task to do while you're pregnant and still have energy and aren't sleep deprived yet. But planning ahead. Not only does cash flow change in the short term, somebody's probably staying home, or you've got the added costs of daycare, which these days is even hard to find at any cost, but also planning for education and college for this new member of your family without imperiling your own retirement. So having a child can make a difference. Maybe your parents are going to move in with you now. That creates some intergenerational planning issues. How do you make that work? Does somebody pay rent? Are there medical issues causing this? There could be some tax implications around having parents move in with you if one of them is needing additional care. Other situations that can trigger a need for financial planning is a disability. It could be you, could be a parent, could be a child. There's a whole range of planning that is important to consider. We can't always use every single tool, but it's good to understand the range of possible help and adjustments and planning that we can do to take care of the people we love if they have a disability of some sort. Let's talk about the other side. So that's a lot of the life events that can happen that would trigger a financial planning moment, event, need. a lot of times it's sort of the frog in the pot. The water's slowly getting hotter, and you don't even notice that all of a sudden your financial life has gotten complex to the point that you don't feel really confident about what's going on anymore. Maybe you've got two people working in the family and the kids are going and you're busy, busy, busy. And it's really hard for you to make sure that the cash flow is working. You're not really sure if you have enough emergency fund. And what about all those different savings opportunities? Are we picking the right ones at the right amounts? There's a bunch of change in tax laws. I can't keep up with that, you might think. And of course, they're hard to keep up with. Some of us make it a profession to keep up with those. Those kinds of things, as your life's growing in complexity, are a great trigger for financial planning, to get someone to help you understand what you have, make sure that the choices that you are making make sense for you and your family, and to the extent you can, either automate or set and forget, so that things are going to happen in a way that benefits you and, again, helps you move toward your best financial life. There's a lot of things around there. As we continue to see changes in the tax code, I think there may be changes around Social Security. Those are going to affect all of us in big ways. And if it's important to you that it might have an implication for you, then it's important to learn about it and get help dealing with it. There's asset and debt issues. You might think of a financial planner as just somebody who helps you with your investments. We don't limit it to that, of course. We bring a lot of skill to the table, helping you invest in the appropriate vehicle and in a way that serves your future. But we really want to make sure that the big picture of you and your financial life all hangs together. It's all integrated. So that means looking at other assets, not just financial investments, but maybe you have a rental home. How do you plan for that? There's a lot of tax planning that can go into having a rental home. How about if you start your own business? This is a huge place where the right financial planner can help you understand how to plan for it, be ready for it, ramp up, plan for the cash flow issues, plan around the tax issues. One of my favorite areas to work with lots of entrepreneurial folks, helping them understand what the implication of being self-employed is and helping them create a very successful environment. Another thing when it comes to assets and debt is understanding what it is you own. It might be that you have some annuities. Annuities are complex and not everybody understands what they are and what they do for them. Working with an advisor can help you do that. Managing your debt. Right this minute, we're in the middle of July 2020. We have absolutely record low mortgage rates. If you're in a situation where your mortgage is more than, say, 4%, now is the time to refinance if you possibly can. But as a planner, we're going to look at your whole financial situation and judge, not only is that interest rate attractive, but does the rest of your financial life help? Is it conducive to that new situation? Or maybe there's a different strategy for you entirely. It could be that you're transitioning into retirement and a reverse mortgage might make way more sense than a refi. We don't know. So I touched on another one. Well, of course, tax planning. Always, as the tax code changes, which it absolutely will, it's never going to hold still. Different elements of the tax code will affect different people in different ways. If you have questions about what's happening for your tax world, a financial advisor is a great person to help you out with. Thinking long-term. Obviously, if you think of a financial advisor, the second thing you think of right after investments is probably retirement planning. But it might be that you have a situation of buying a second home, perhaps a significant purchase of a boat. Those are situations we can help you plan for as well. But the other long-term planning we help with is the estate planning. Like I mentioned, as you change in and out of relationships, what happens with your estate plan, if you don't have one written, is subject to whatever the state has written for you. As time goes on, you may want to revisit your own personalized estate plan to make sure that it's doing for you what you want it to do. Estate plans include wills, trusts, but also powers of attorney. So there's elements that are in place while you're alive and then there's elements that are in place once you're no longer on the planet. So we look at that full range of estate planning and make sure that it's fitting your situation and meeting your needs. And I've talked about this before, but we also help you get the right amount of insurance and protect risks. It's a risk management sort of situation. Make sure that the coverage that is in place makes sense for you and is affordable. And maybe you have something that isn't related to anything I just mentioned. Maybe there's a change there that none of us have considered, but is affecting you in a significant financial way. Oh, I know. Maybe you won the lottery. Financial planners are good for that too. So today I want to leave you with, if there's changes in your life, big changes that affect your money, or if you're finding that the complication of your financial life is just becoming frustrating or even overwhelming, that's when it's time to reach out to a financial advisor. I'm Dee Dee Jones. This is Innovative Financial live at noon, here to help you with your personal finance questions. And we'll see you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here live. Have a great day.